everybody. My hat is crooked once again. Just the camera a little bit. I hope everybody's doing good on this Saturday evening. Got started a little bit later than I intended to. I guess it's mainly my fault. But while we were on the way home, I went to see my dad. Went back home to see my dad for early Father's Day. Hey, Texas. Hey, the poet. Yes, I feel like this movie that we're going to do the watch along for tonight is underrated as well. Um, Very underrated. Uh, so, anyway, I had a good visit with my dad and my mom as well. Brought dad his gift. He really liked his gift. And we visited for about 3 hours and then we headed home. And of course, as it always happens, there was a wreck and there was road work and there was everything. The closer we got to Louisville, so we got home probably a half an hour later than we would have if the traffic hadn't been like it was and there hadn't been a wreck and there hadn't been road construction and what have you. So, then of course when we got home, had to unload the car because mom found a bunch of my, I've been out of my mom and dad's house for about 10 years now, and there's still stuff of mine that's in their house. So mom found a bunch more of my stuff and she gave it to me today. So I had to get all that stuff out of the vehicle when we got home. Steve helped me, of course. The new dog had an accident on the floor, so I had to clean that up. But that's to be expected. Yeah, and of course, me and Steve had to eat some dinner. And then I realized, oh, damn, I don't have the promotion out for this yet. So I'm going to try to do better um, for tonight, tomorrow night's movie, which will be High Fidelity with John Cusack. So I'll try to get that out there tonight because this movie that we're going to be doing the watch along for, The Stepfather from 1987, starring Terry O'Quinn. It's not a very long movie. I think it's just under an hour and 30 minutes. So um, I should have plenty of time to make promotion for tomorrow's movie or tomorrow's watch along. Hey, Gory Tiger. Um, so I have one thing to show off during the Daily Grindhouse. And of course, I will talk about, before we get into the Daily Grindhouse, I already said High Fidelity is tomorrow, but I want to talk about the rest of the upcoming watch along. So, June 24th will be Just Before Dawn, and June 25th will be the hilarious Caddyshack. July 1st will be the original Town That Dreaded Sundown. July 2nd will be Slumber Party Massacre 2. July 8th will be the little talked about Superstition. And July 9th will be Summer School. And that's what I've got as far as watch alongs so far. Um, Now, Tuesday, I am planning on continuing with my summer camp slashers. I think, well, I don't know now. I think Dirk was planning on being on that one with me. However, um, hold on, guys. Got to step away for just a second. Let the dogs in. However, as I was saying about Dirk, there's been some really bad weather down south, including Louisiana, where Dirk is at. I think they've had tornadoes, could have had flooding, a lot of different bad bad weather items. So he is currently been evacuated, and he's in a hotel. And I was thinking, Darren said it would probably be 2 weeks or so before Dirk could do the show with Darren. So unless something changes, I don't expect Dirk will be able to be on my stream on Tuesday. Um, but there should be plenty more of these summer camp slasher streams to come. So if he wants to be on a later one, he most certainly can be. But I'm planning on covering the last half of the Friday the 13th movies. And then, of course, in the subsequent streams, we'll be talking about things like Madman and The Burning and the Sleepaway Camp films and all of that. And actually, Dirk had brought up Bay of Blood, which is not a summer camp, but it is a summer type of slasher film, like summer vacation type of slasher film. So I'm probably going to include it as well. Going to do a little research and see, just look into a few things that could be considered rolled up into under that summer camp slasher um, title or heading or whatever. The poet, I agree. Like most remakes, it should not have been made. Yes, I thought that remake of the Stepfather. Now, my mom, on the other hand, she liked it, but I thought the remake of the Stepfather was just god awful. I hated it. So anyway, um, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything Monday. I may try to take a few breaks in this upcoming week. Of course, Tuesday, like I said, I will do the summer camp slasher stream, barring me being sick and or dead. Uh, I will do that. Monday, I know, of course, Uncle Bill is planning on having another Uncle Bill's tour of Italy. I am not planning to be on that one, but I believe Carta, uh, I always, he's got kind of a long screen name. I just refer to him as Carta, and I think Uncle Bill does as well. But Carta, I think, is supposed to be on there with him for that. And there could be some other people that are on there. I don't know. I think they're going to talk about Joe D'Amato films. So you guys can look forward to that. If I do have something on Monday, I'll try to do it early enough where I'm not going to crisscross paths with Uncle Bill doing Uncle Bill's tour of Italy because I don't like to do that. I mean, sometimes it happens, but I try to be cognizant of it enough of what, people like Dead Pit are doing, so I'm not doing something on at the same time slot that they are. Um, Wednesday, I don't know. Thursday, I don't know. Friday, I will not be doing anything, of course, because Joe Bob and Darcy return on the last drive in. And I do realize that there might not be as many people in for the watch along tomorrow night for High Fidelity, even though I'll probably start around 6 or 7 tomorrow night or tomorrow evening. Because I think Dead Pit's doing something. Theirs is a little bit later. It's Father's Day, and Joe Bob is doing something special about a Walking Dead spinoff or something on Shudder. So there's all that going on. So there might not be too many people in my watch along for High Fidelity, which is perfectly fine. I totally understand that. So let's go ahead, now that I got all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and kick off the intro to the Daily Grindhouse. I'm going to show what I got in this afternoon, and then we're going to try to get started with the movie. So here we go. All right. Hey, X-Ray, say, yo, Daner, tell me about your experience finding Dead Pit because of the Into the Pit documentary. Actually, no, because I did not even know about that documentary until after I started listening to Dead Pit. I know you're probably being a little facetious with that, because um, I didn't start listening to Dead Pit, or I didn't discover Dead Pit until late in 2008, somewhere around Christmas time, a little bit before Christmas, a little bit after Christmas, somewhere around there. And when I really started getting, hardcore into listening to their show every week, that was '09. So I didn't even know about that the documentary had been made until after I started listening to them a little bit, and then I started hearing them talk about it. And then, of course, when I went to Fright Night, they did a screening of it. So yeah, definitely that was not how I got into Dead Pit. Maybe there were some people that saw the documentary and they, became listeners of Dead Pit, but I was not one of those. Hey, TJ, you say hi, Daddy Lovers. And so, before we go ahead and get started with this watch along for the Stepfather, um, I have a link to a copy on YouTube that is very clear. It looks really good. It appears to be an HD copy. Now, I think Amazon Prime had it, but I don't know for sure if it had to be like a subscription through Amazon Prime or something like that. Perhaps Texas can help me out with that. But I do have a link in the chat for the YouTube link, which looks pretty damn good, I will say. I am going to be watching the Shout Factory or Scream Factory release from a few years ago, Blu-ray of The Stepfather. And yeah, I think so, X-Ray. Stepfather 3 was the Alien 3 of the franchise. And you say, I was sub to them 2007, 2008. They were the few horror reviewers around. Also sub to your old channel. That was 2 accounts ago. LOL. All right. So Texas has got a whole list of places that you can watch it. He says it's on Freevee, it's on Screenbox, it's on Tubi, Plex, Roku, etc. So guys, you probably won't have any problem finding this movie if you don't have your own copy to watch along with. Um, the poet, you say you saw this movie on AMC a long time ago. Yeah, I probably have caught it on AMC at some point in time because I've said this before. I think these streaming services make a lot of us lazy. I know they certainly make me lazy because why should I get up and go back to my movie shelf if it's, just at my fingertips? If I can just go to a streaming service and say, hey, I want to watch Stepfather, for instance, and it's right there. Um, so yeah. But what I wanted to show was, and there may be some of you that have already got these in. I was not expecting mine originally to arrive until August because that's when it said they would ship out. However, both Steve and I recently got ours, and I think Steve showed his off on a stream or two ago. So this is my Scream 6 Ghost Face popcorn bucket. Yeah. So basically, you open it on the top here, and you can put not very much popcorn, but you can put some popcorn in there if you want to. It says, "Do you like scary movies?" on the back, and of course, it's the ghost face head there comprises the bucket. Now I was trying to look at because I figured I would get one. I know these suckers are mass produced and all that jazz, and I was just expecting to have a big crack somewhere on my particular one or something. But no, it looks pretty good. However, I told Steve, I said I laughed. I was like, Um, I can't believe we spent about $25 on these. He said, well, at least we didn't get the sippy cup like things. I said, well, no, I know that, but still, yet, probably a lot of people, when I say something about you're not going to get a lot of popcorn in there, probably a lot of you are going to say, gee, Dana, why would you want to put greasy, buttery popcorn in this thing and screw it all up? Well, you can wipe it off. And I'm thinking, what is the use in like just sitting this around and not doing anything with it? So I'm sure I will rinse it out at some point in time and put a little popcorn in it. And hell, I might use it on one of these watch alongs or something like that. Heck, I might do a Scream watch along sometime for the original Scream at some point in time. So, hey, Blissful. I think I hear one of the other doggies at the door, so let me step away here real quick again. Zoe, you want to come in? Zoe. Come on, Zoe. Come on, Zoe. Zoe. You better come in before it gets late. Come on, Zoe. Come on, Zoe. Man. Be good now. Okay, girls. Well, TJ, I probably do a little more than just watch it. Obviously, I'd watch that thing, rinsing it out. You, lol. Well, a lot of people would say, "Hell, I'm not going to put any popcorn in it anyway." Okay, so you guys can see my new little girl back there. There she is, Zoe. 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 There she is, wagging her tail back there. This is probably the first clear shot a lot of you guys have gotten to see of Zoe on these streams. Usually it's getting a little darker in here. She's gonna lay down now. Uh, I think Blissful likes that. But anyways, um, if anybody wants to join me live on the stream tonight for this watch along, feel free. I can actually. I don't know why my hat feels so much looser now on my head. I don't think I've done anything different to it. Um, but it's just so loose. I think that's what's been bothering me why I've been taking it off lately. Um, what I can do is put this invite back in the chat. In case any of you want to join me live on the stream. I'll also put the YouTube link for the Stepfather in there as well. In case any of you want to watch it on YouTube. And just as a note for those of you that are going to be watching along tonight, I am about 10 seconds in on the Blu-ray where it says ITC Productions Presents. So everybody can hopefully get queued up and ready to go. My hair is all straightened and everything like that. It looks a little better. However, the hat, I don't know. I might have to tighten it up, the loop thing in the back or something. It may have just gotten loose over time. It just feels like it's sliding up and down on my head. And it's bothering me. So, anyways, like there was something else I was going to bring up before we got started with this. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up and thank you. Oh, yeah, this is just a little gripe on my part, and it's not a gripe against anybody in here. It's a gripe against YouTube. And you guys, if you are in the know and know more about this than I do, or if you've heard something else, or just tell me to quit being a whiny baby about it. But I just got to get it out. For all the hoopla, the 13th, which was what, Tuesday, where YouTube claimed that they were going to allow people with 500 subscribers and enough watch hours, which I've already got enough watch hours. I don't have any community strikes against me or copyright strikes or any of that. Um, and, I have all the criteria according to the new policies. And I still go to, if I go to YouTube Studio or whatever and I click on earn, it still doesn't give me an apply button where I can do the application at least for them to review. And I've got no damn email from YouTube. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, damn, Dana, it takes time. They probably got to go through a lot of people and they'll get to you in time. And that might be so, but it just kind of irks me because you go to where it says earn, and instead of saying, oh, you've reached the 500 subscriber threshold that we recently instituted, it's still saying 1,000 subscribers on mine. And I'm like, well, this is bullshit. Are they going to make me, wait till I get 1,000 subscribers? So I have half a mind to start asking questions to the powers that be. I mean, I'm not going to be pushy or anything, but you change your policies, and it's supposed, according to what I read, it was supposed to take effect that day. So it isn't. Wouldn't there be something where they could just say, institute this policy for everybody's channels? Um, I'm like, what's going on here with this? So yeah, that's my little gripe for the night. Um, so I'm not seeing anybody that's saying, hey, I want to come on, but if anybody at any point in time, again, barring it not being 30 seconds before the movie ends or something like that, you can feel free to come on at any point in time and be live on the stream with me and talk about this movie. If nobody wants to, then I'll just blab on about it myself. Um, and you guys can feel free to talk it up in the chat. And if anybody, comes in a little later and needs a timestamp, I'm sure I or somebody else in the chat will be willing to give you a timestamp for the movie. But there might be a lot of people that are out of town today. There might be people that have to travel to see their dads. And I fully realize that technically this is a holiday weekend. So it makes perfect sense why people might not be able to come to this watch along. I realize spending time with your family is a lot more important than being at all these watch alongs. So we've got 11 people in here. So we're going to go ahead and get started here soon. Again, I am using the Blu-ray. I am 10 seconds in. I'm up to the ITC Productions Presents screen. So if the majority of you in here, a few of you will let me know if you're going to watch the movie. If not, you don't have to say anything. But if you're going to be watching along, just let me know that you're queued up and ready to go. And we'll go ahead and get started here in just a second or so. I swear I got some wild hairs that are not, and it's those gray hairs too that are not wanting to lay down and behave. So I hope everybody's been having a great weekend so far. Other than traffic, I was I had a pretty decent one, and I was looking forward to this watch along tonight as well. And on the plus side of the whole YouTube thing, I am up to 530 subscribers, and I've been getting a lot of very nice comments from people that just now discover me. So that's really been making me feel good. Hey, Rooster. You say, hey, everyone, I'm queued up. Cool. Texas, you going to be watching along tonight? Blissful TJ, X-Ray, the poet. I mean, again, if you're not going to be watching or it's just not feasible for you to watch it, is fine. Texas, say yes, of course. Okay, just let me know when you're queued up, Texas, and we'll probably Rooster's queued up. If you're queued up, you guys are usually, the big ones that are going to be talking about the movie. And TJ usually talks about the movies a lot too. Blissful does too, depending on what the movie is. So Texas, you're set. Okay, so I'm going to just wait until 8 o'clock, and which it is now 8 o'clock. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We'll do the 3, 2, 1 countdown. And again, if anybody comes in here later and needs a timestamp, I'm sure any one of us will be glad to give that to them. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Press play. This is a horror movie that my mom always liked, and I liked as well. Still like it. And it has the lovely Jill Schoen in it as well as Terry O'Quinn and Shelley Hike. And as I said the other night, this is loosely, keep in mind, loosely based on the John List case. If you want to find out more about John List, it's all over the internet. If you just punch in John List on Google, it'll come up a whole bunch of stuff. And I believe Donald Westlake was a true crime writer who also did the screenplay for this. And it's directed by Joseph Rubin. So this scene coming up, we're zooming in on a house. We're soon going to go inside the house, and we're going to see Terry O'Quinn with a beard and everything, a lot of facial hair. But you're seeing a little bit of blood on him there. But he's got blood all over his shirt, all over his hands, all over his face. So, and I don't think I've ever seen another movie where Terry O'Quinn's member is visible. I'll just say it like that. But we are going to see this here shortly. Thank you, Rooster. You say nice pup, Dana. So you're going to see it right there. In case you guys ever wanted to see Terry O'Quinn's penis. There it is. So you know that he's been doing some hiking and slashing. But if this is your first viewing of this, you're not really going to know what the context is. So now he's going to look like the Terry O'Quinn that we're familiar with. Terry O'Quinn is so good in this movie too. He's so good in this movie. Because I've seen Terry O'Quinn play a lot of different characters. He was the sheriff in Silver Bullet. He was the father in Penn, I believe. I believe that's correct. TJ, you say, yeah, the real victims weren't discovered for a month. Yes. Yes. List was a devious MFer. He was. Uh, so you see him methodically putting the toys back in the toy box. But the most horrifying scene of this movie is coming up here. This really shocked me the first time I saw this movie. I think we rented it. I think my family rented it because there you see the hand print with blood smeared all down the wall. And then this. That is got to be one of the most chilling opening scenes in a movie ever for me. That whole room is covered in blood. There's bodies laying all over the place. And you're also going to see a little girl's body right here, face down with her teddy bear. Is that not chilling, guys? I think that's absolutely chilling. One of the best scenes ever in a horror movie, in my opinion. And then he just calmly leaves. You know, he's put all his bloody clothes and stuff in a suitcase. And he's going to ride a ferry and he's going to simply just toss this suitcase overboard. He kind of looks around and then just, I'm going to flip it over in the water. Kind of saying goodbye to his old life. And there is the lovely Jill Schoen. This is supposed to be a year later. But if anybody has read up on the John List story, this is really what John List did essentially. He killed his family and was free, living under another name, married to another woman, for 15 years before he was discovered because of a America's Most Wanted episode. That's what actually got him caught. And there's Shelley Hack playing the mother. I can't say I ever had a leaf fight with my mother like that. Yeah, Rooster, yes, that is right. List was a lot neater with the remains of his family. I'm sure that scene that I was talking about earlier was put in there purely for effect. It looked like he had done some chopping and slashing to that family when List actually shot his family. So we already know this guy's not any good. That Jerry's not any good. But he's trying his best to hide that. So he's gotten Stephanie, Jill Schoen's character, a new puppy. And she refers to Jerry as perfect, but nobody's perfect, and certainly not this guy. So Stephanie, she's dealing with a lot of issues. I think her father had gotten sick and died. Then her mother kind of hooked up with Jerry, and she doesn't like Jerry, doesn't trust Jerry, um, feels that there's something just not quite right about the guy. And as I had said in an earlier stream, this movie is very similar to another movie called Scream for Help, I believe, which Scream for Help is okay. I wouldn't say it's an awful movie, but I much prefer The Stepfather. Yeah, Scream for Help's a 1984 film. A teenage girl discovers that her stepfather is trying to murder her and her mother, but when she tells people, no one will believe her. And the thing about Scream for Help was, like I said, it's not a horrible movie. It's a decent movie. I just prefer this one better. And also, again, I'm not a prude, but the main girl, I believe, played by Rachel Kelly, I think. Um, I don't know. She's probably much older than the character she's actually playing. However, um, the talk is extremely vulgar. She's extremely sexual, and I think uh, Jill Schoen's portrayal of Stephanie in this movie as the stepdaughter is a lot better. But as you can see there, like I said, Stephanie is dealing with a lot of issues. She gets in multiple fights at school and things like that. Um, and we can see that Jerry is a realtor. So he's showing a family a house here. Um, yeah, TJ. Liz killed his wife, mother, two of his kids came home from school. Then he went to pick up his other son, brought him home. His mother-in-law got lucky because she was supposed to visit, but she was homesick. Exactly. That is exactly right, TJ. So you can see here that Jerry makes some mistakes here. where he's talking about Stephanie, he's talking about Jill Schoen's character. Then he starts talking about Jill, and the little girl is sharp. She picks up on it. She says, "Who's Jill?" And he says, "That's my daughter." And she says, "I thought you said her name was Stephanie." And he tries to smooth it over, but you can tell that there's something really wrong with this guy. That as if you hadn't already figured that out. So Stephanie's gotten expelled from school because this isn't the first time that she has gotten a fight. So, then Jerry looks real serious. It's like girls don't get expelled. And, and of course, she doesn't apologize to Jerry. She apologizes to her mother, and her mother kind of, you know, we'll talk about it later and try to smooth things over. Stephanie's wanting to go. I think she's wanting to go live with her aunt. And this, of course, upsets her mother. And you can see here that any normal person would say, okay, let's discuss this. Let's go through some things. But he says, of course, there's no reason to break up the family, and then give Stephanie an odd look there. And this is another thing Jerry does. When Jerry gets upset, Jerry goes down into the basement where he's got all kinds of, woodworking material. And, normal guys might do something like this or go to the gym or participate in activities in a home gym to break stress. But Jerry goes crazy in his little basement workshop. So right now, I mean, you can tell literally, Jerry's talking to himself. He's running the machinery. He looks very angry. He's actually building a birdhouse. TJ, good point. You say, yeah, he's more clumsy in this movie. Guess the filmmakers wanted him to be flawed, so he didn't seem slasher, maybe indestructible. So her mother right here is trying to explain, as mothers would try to explain to their kids in real life, when a beloved parent passes away, or even if the parents get divorced and get remarried to someone else, the parents will try to explain, I haven't, you know, forgotten about your dad. Or if it was the case with the mother, the fathers will say, I haven't forgotten about your mother. And a lot of times, even when a couple gets divorced, they don't hate each other. They still care about each other. They just can't be married to each other. Um, for instance, there was a scene in The Exorcist where um, I was never sure, and people feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I was never sure if Reagan's mother and father were separated or they were divorced or what. I kind of always thought they were divorced, but you never know particularly for sure. But at one point, um, the mother tells Reagan, she says, "Oh, Reagan, I love your daddy. I will always love your daddy." So and then the next couple of scenes, she's getting really angry and angry because the father hasn't called Reagan on her birthday. So this I always, again, normal people don't really act specifically the way Jerry is acting here while he's watching old Mr. Ed shows. And this scene coming up where they're having sex was always so cringy to me because as viewers of the film, we know what kind of guy Jerry is. And to see her making love with him, and to know that he could snap at any time and kill them is just it's so unnerving. And the fact that they can't be, or the mother can't be quiet enough uh, to where her daughter will not hear her having sex. We see a scene with Stephanie who has to put on headphones to stop from hearing what's going on. I mean, nobody wants to hear their parents having sex. So you definitely wouldn't want to hear your mother and your stepfather having sex. So you can see she's feeling uncomfortable there. And you can also tell here that Jerry has no feelings one way or the other. Sex is not something that Jerry is interested in at all. He's just merely doing that to keep the woman happy. I don't think he would care if they ever had sex. So we're seeing the house again where Jerry had killed his other family, and this guy here that's driving the car is supposed to be the brother of the woman that Jerry killed. And that guy there, the newspaper guy that's with him, um, that guy is a Canadian actor, and I know for sure that he was in funeral home as the mentally disabled, like caretaker guy for Miss Chalmers. Um, I know he's been in other stuff. I'm just drawing a blank other than that in this movie. So, too, and I'm not sure if they show it in this version or not. It's been a little bit since I've watched this copy. Um, TJ, yeah, at one time I think List had quite a bit of money. However, um, I I've seen a lot of shows about him, and read. There's a book called Righteous Carnage, about the murder, the John List murdering his family, and it basically said that he got to a point where he was living beyond his means. And bills were piling up and stuff like that, but he wanted to give the illusion that everything was okay, between him and his family. Um, so I think maybe at one time he may have been well off, but as time went on, I don't know if he was just reckless with his money. I think he bought that big old house to try to make his wife happy. And it was above his means at that point in time, but he still did it. Yeah, I imagine it would have been burnt down because, people who would want to live there? I always wondered about the Amityville Horror House. Why would anybody want to live there after, even after Ronnie DeFeo killed his family in there? I don't think I would want to live there. But what I was talking about, the scene with the woman's brother, Jim Ogilvy, um, he goes to try to get information from, not sure what that noise was, but anyway, I think all my dogs are in here. Brink might be snoring, but anyways, he goes somewhere to try to get some information, and he's kind of flirting with the woman behind the counter, which I didn't ever think this woman coming up was that attractive. I mean, she was okay, but not really, in my opinion, a sexy woman. But he ends up, and I don't know if that scene is in here. I don't know if that's a deleted scene or what. Um, but there is a scene where he goes to bed with her. Now, he probably goes to bed with her because he wants to, not just as a way to be able to get the information. I think she would have gave him the information anyway. So here's the scene where Jerry really flips his lid because there's a newspaper article. Jim Ogilvy wanted the journalist to write this article about Jerry under his other name. Um, and Jim Ogilvy will get real upset because a picture is not printed. But the article is there. And so you can tell here that Jerry is unnerved by this. And he tries to, be kind of unassuming and say, oh, yeah, what would make a man do? There's where he said, one of the other guys says, why would somebody do that to their family? And he says, maybe they disappointed him. And then he looks at Stephanie real serious and then smiles. And he has fashioned this newspaper into a hat and he gives it to some young kid here. But there's something clearly disturbing Jerry here. Of course, he tries to put on a smiling face and laugh and act like nothing's wrong. Okay. So now Stephanie is going down to the basement to get more ice cream. Jerry does not know she's there when he comes down here. He just has no idea. And we're going to see him really flip out here. There he goes. And Stephanie is now seeing the other side of Jerry, the irrational, out of control Jerry. So it's like he's talking to people that aren't there. And Terry O'Quinn again is so masterful in this. And then he turns around and sees Stephanie. TJ, so that's me in rush hour traffic. I think that's Steve in rush hour traffic as well. And he tries to smooth it over, talking about blowing off steam and all that. And he looks like he could just kill her at any point in time. I mean, this movie is so well made, and I'm not putting anybody down that likes the remake, but if you have seen both films, if you've seen this and seen the remake, which I've seen the remake as well, and I will never watch it again. Uh, I, I mean, this is clearly, to me anyway, the superior film. So now Stephanie's convinced that Jerry is the man that murdered his family. And of course, her best friend kind of laughs about this. She says, "You don't like Jerry. Therefore, Jerry is the man that murdered his family a year ago." So Stephanie's going to write to the newspaper to try to get a picture of, I think Henry Morrison was his name. Um, and so she's writing a letter to the newspaper to see, she's telling them she's doing a school research project on like murders or something. And so she's trying to get this little piece of evidence that she hopes will cement her fears, I guess. So here's where Jim Ogilvy is getting after the journalist because he says, you didn't print the picture. And the guy's telling him, well, basically it was my editor that wouldn't let me print the picture. He would let me print the article, but not the picture for space or something like that. Rooster, you say you liked him in 6 Feet Under? I don't think I ever watched 6 Feet Under. So that's what you do when you get all upset over things like this. You smoke a cigarette together. That'll make everything better, right? Maybe they need to give a cigarette to Jerry. You think? You think maybe that would help? In Jerry's case, I doubt it. So Stephanie is now seeing her psychiatrist again, Dr. Bondurant, who tries to be an understanding doctor and Stephanie trusts him. And at this point in time, he really has no reason to be suspicious of Jerry. He just thinks that Stephanie is going through all the typical problems that a girl getting or girl or a guy getting a new step parent would go through, distrust and all of that stuff. And he's trying at this point, from a psychiatric standpoint, to make things better for Stephanie. I didn't see that, TJ. You said that there's a weird mask on our wall that looks like Bruce Davis. We'll have to check that out. So basically, at some point in time, Dr. Bondurant tells Stephanie that he will check out Jerry for her. Okay, so now Jerry is going through the mail. I guess Stephanie didn't count on him getting the mail in because here is an envelope from the Seattle Examiner to Stephanie. So technically, this is illegal, but this is a movie. And damn, that's him. So he's like, uh-oh, I got to do something here. So here comes Stephanie, and she's like, is there anything for me? And he says, as a matter of fact, there is something for you, but I don't think it's the type of thing you should be looking at. And there's a tense moment there between the two. And then he's going to laugh and gives her Cosmopolitan. But then you saw a kind of menacing look as he looked back down and turned away to walk towards the house. So there's little subtle nuances that Terry O'Quinn gives throughout this movie. So once again, he's down in the basement workshop. He's having a meltdown. He's got the picture of himself. Here's somebody obviously that has anger management issues as well as being batshit crazy. TJ, you say, yeah, all these characters do something dumb. Steph in the photo, the mom, the therapist, and the brother in law is the dumbest still. Yeah, actually, the brother in law, uh, Jim Ogilvy, is, he, I think he has good intentions, but he does make a lot of stupid mistakes. Um, one very big mistake, which will be coming up here a little bit. So then here, you know, this is creepy. And there are people that are actually able to do this, able to actually turn it on and off, where he can be super violent and then just come right back out of it. So he had threw that picture of the family down, and now he's methodically going back to his birdhouse, and he's just as calm as can be now. But that's frightening because that means that, invariably he's going to flare up again. And so Dr. Bondurant is trying a more straightforward tactic at first. He's just calling and asking to speak to Jerry. Jerry's like, I don't want to talk to him. Get rid of him. Um, so Dr. Bondurant knows that the direct way is not going to get him where he can talk to Jerry. So now Jerry is going to go to just a random shop where they've got photo frames and stuff. And he is going to replace the photo. So Jim Ogilvy is, he's basically trying to find as much information as he can because he's wanting to find Henry Morrison, the guy that killed his sister and his nieces and nephews, or nieces and a nephew. Ah, TJ, good point. You say, notice the motif of houses in this movie. There's a house model near the phone. He's building a birdhouse. There's a house of some sort attached to the mailbox. Exactly. So, yeah, here's this goes in with TJ talking about how dumb these characters are. Of course, we all know the characters do dumb things in every horror movie we've ever watched, right? So Jim Ogilvy's learned to use a gun and all of that, and he should be prepared, but when it comes down to it, he really isn't. So now Jerry has went to Stephanie's school and he's trying to work out something so she's not expelled. Stephanie is once again in Dr. Bondurant's office. So this Dr. Bondurant really feels for Stephanie. I would guess that she's probably been seeing Dr. Bondurant for about a year or maybe a little over a year. And so he really, really wants to help her. So now we find out, or we're going to find out, that Dr. Bondurant is trying another tactic to talk to Jerry. And now he's going to pose as somebody that wants to see a house. And we're very soon going to come up on a very brutal scene here. So this essentially this guy here is Stephanie's love interest. This would, in my opinion, this would be a good movie to watch fall in the fall season of the year, maybe close to Halloween, because the majority of the film takes place in the fall. There's going to be a Thanksgiving scene here shortly. TJ, he says, "Is that dude like 30? LOL." Yeah, he does. Like most of them do. Looks way older than high school age. Jill Sholin actually looks older than high school age here. I never really noticed those houses on the mailbox before. That's a good eye, TJ. Okay, so now Stephanie thinks that she's getting this picture from the Seattle Examiner, and she thinks it's finally going to confirm what she's been saying all along. And that doesn't look like Jerry at all. Looks like somebody's headshot, actually. So we're going to see Dr. Bonder in here, and I'm going to step away to run to the restroom really quickly here. But if I don't get back in time, that brutal scene is coming up, guys. So just be prepared in case you've never seen this movie before. But I don't want to give it away for you. I will return in just a second. Yeah, yeah, exactly, TJ. That's what I was going to bring up. That for this guy to be a psychiatrist, that was a really dumb move. Perhaps he's not been with many, you know, psychotic people or something. But you wouldn't think a psychiatrist would make that kind of mistake. So yeah, this is always very, very brutal what he does to this doctor. So he basically wants to know who this guy is, and he's gonna find out here as he goes to the dead guy's pockets and everything. He's gonna find out it is Dr. Bonder. Yeah, exactly, TJ. He goes alone to a secluded area. Then, if Steph is right, then he put himself in danger. Yeah. So, in other words, I guess he didn't, you know, he didn't heed Stephanie's warnings, really. I guess that paper on the floor could have been there for a particular reason in a new house, but it's almost as if Jerry thought he was going to have to kill somebody in there or might have to kill somebody in there, and maybe like it was planted there. So now, in order to make Dr. Bondurant's death look like an accident, he's going to make it look like he had a car wreck. Very crafty, Jerry. you noticed that too, TJ. You said, yeah, that paper was very convenient, LOL. I've seen this movie many times and I guess never really paid attention to exactly how convenient that paper is. But it is. It's extremely, extremely convenient. And two, I wonder how Jerry knew that this area, because this area looks like maybe like a lover's lane, type of area. How did he know somebody wasn't going to come there to park? Um, but anyway, so that's the end of Dr. Bonder. For real there. So I think I don't have the sound turned up, but I think Jerry is whistling there as he's pretty much, walking to where he needs to get. But that whistling will really come into play in the second Stepfather movie, which I don't want to give away in case you have not seen either one of these, or maybe you've seen this one, but not the second one. So now, Jerry, um, and I think for Jerry, the killing of Dr. Bondurant served two purposes for him. One was to get rid of somebody that might disclose what he's doing, all the nasty things he's doing, and two will force Stephanie to kind of seek comfort in him. That's right, DJ. But I do think, as Jerry is telling her this is not the way, and maybe it's because we're viewers looking at this. The way he is telling her is not sympathetic at all. Um, I I just can't I just can't get past those opening scenes, and as movie watchers, I guess that's the way we're supposed to feel. So his look here, why she can't see the way he's looking. That is evil. That is just evil. So I would say that Jim Ogilvy is obsessed. He's obsessed with finding Henry Morrison, and he wants to kill him, which I totally get that. If somebody had murdered my family in that way, yeah, I'd want to kill him too. But he repeatedly, it's almost like he's torturing himself in a way because he just keeps going back to this house. And how the hell is he getting in this house? It looks like they've got it boarded up and all of that. So what is he breaking and entering into it? Because I think essentially it might still be considered a crime scene. So in this house, Jerry, aka Henry, had a workshop. There's his family that he killed. And so Jim has seen, he's seen this travel leisure magazine or whatever, and he sees that some pages were ripped out. So there are the fruits of Jerry's labor. There is the new birdhouse, and something's going to happen at the end of the movie that I kind of understand and kind of don't, but I'll wait until we get to that in connection with this birdhouse. So he's got Stephanie exactly where he wants her right now. And you can tell he thinks he's won at this point. They look like the happy family there, don't they? Well, we know better. Okay, so now Jim is going to go to the public library. And I've worked in enough public libraries to, I just I chuckle at this because he's going to sneak back to the periodicals. Look how messy. This would drive a librarian crazy. So he's found the issue he wants, and what does he do? We're going to see what he does here in a second. Well, actually, maybe it doesn't show it there, but he essentially ends up, I think, stealing that magazine. So now we're seeing a Thanksgiving dinner here. So we know that even though everything seems okay with the family, you again, as viewers of this movie, we know it's only a matter of time before Jerry loses it again. Okay, so Stephanie has been out at the local, I guess, hangout here, and the guy that's the love interest, there he is, shows up, and he offers to give her a ride home, but she has one caveat. She wants to drive this thing. So there's a lot of flirtation going on between Stephanie and the guy there, and we all know things have been going swimmingly between the Stephanie and her mother and Jerry, and so they pulled out in front of Stephanie's house. He's going to walk her to the front door like the gentleman that he supposedly is. So what usually happens here? There's going to be a little kissing between the two, right? That's perfectly normal. Nothing abnormal about that. So you had to know that Jerry would have had to been really close by, perhaps glancing out the door. And it's normal for fathers to be, nervous about their daughters being with guys, but Jerry goes way over the edge here. So this is where her Stephanie's mother is concerned here. But she's also angry at Stephanie and slaps her. Stephanie takes off, but then her mother turns on Jerry again. Oh, so she's telling him, I've known that kid longer than you. And she says, all the progress thrown away because of you, and the look he gives there. And he's just like, I'm going to take a walk here. She just goes in the house. So now we see Jerry leaving his job at the realtor. He's on good terms with him, it looks like. So this is where he's trying to get information. And there's the chick that I was talking to behind the counter. She's cute, but Annie Barnes, I don't think she's exactly sexy. It doesn't look like the type of woman that this guy would go to bed with. Um, yeah, I believe that's where the scene naturally ends for the movie, but I do believe there is a deleted scene um, where you see them after they have had sex. So Stephanie's supposed to be seeing a new psychiatrist, um, which she doesn't ever go to because, yeah, I can see why actually. So again, I don't know why Dr. Bondurant's office is unlocked. Um, and how Stephanie is able to go in here, but this is movie logic here, horror movie logic at that. Uh, so she's just able to go in there, kind of fiddle around through Dr. Bondurant's papers, his calendar, his notes, all that stuff. Of course, this scene of him with the small child, which I guess we're supposed to assume is his, um, actually does add another layer to that character, which is good. So there she finds the note, 1708 Pine Road, J. Blake, 430, which seems suspicious to her. So guess what? She's going to go to that address. And we know that that's the address of the house where Dr. Bondurant met Jerry. Um, Under the guise of looking at the house, being interested in it. So now Jim Ogilvy is going, kind of doing a house to house, trying to find Jerry. He's looking up all the Jerry Gerald Blakes that are around. And Jerry, good old Jerry, is already planning his escape from Susan and Stephanie. I mean, he's planning to kill them and move on to another family. So he's taking the contacts out. He's going to put glasses on. Give himself a fake mustache. And it's going to take that weave off there, guys. Yeah, good old Jerry. It's master of disguise, isn't he? So Jerry must have put down, after he killed Dr. Bonder, and he must have put some fresh paper down, maybe. What the hell's that paper for, anyway? There's somebody else being shown the house. So now Jerry, we're going to find out that he's gone to a whole new place in Rosedale, Washington, and he's going to get a job as an insurance salesman. And so essentially, Jerry's living a double life now. And you can see that things are not going too well with him and Susan and Stephanie now. Right, DJ. Insurance sales means mustache. LOL. So here again, Jerry acts like, he's totally doesn't think there's a problem. So he's seeing there the family that he sold the house to earlier. And everybody has this dream of the happy family. They really do. But Jerry has a very warped version of it, because no matter how perfect a family may look on the outside, every family has their problems. Somehow Jerry hasn't been able to grasp that, and that's part of his problem. He thinks if a family becomes less than perfect, you kill them off and move on to another family. So I think good old Jim has discovered the right Jerry Blake. But I think that Jim acts very suspicious there in that scene. Um, I'm not sure if anybody else caught that. Probably TJ did. So we see once again Jerry is going into the restroom to switch it identities, and here he is. He's got him a new house and stuff, and he's also either a new house or a new apartment. He's eyeing the neighbor across in the next house over. He's getting a little friendly with the neighbor. TJ, you say, yeah, the brother-in-law ain't settled. So he's trying to figure out, if there's if the woman has a husband or a boyfriend or anything like that. Okay, so meanwhile, Susan has called where she assumes that Jerry is still employed, and they say he doesn't work here anymore. And she's pretty confused. See, that's a dumb move that Jerry makes too. Did he not? Or maybe he just doesn't care at this point. At this point, he's looking for a reason to kill her and Stephanie, and maybe this just cements it a little bit. That guy has a Jerry sweater on there, to be honest. So he's trying to get the guy to look at a picture, and the guy's like, "Yeah, that looks like the guy that sold us our house." So Jerry's whistling, coming back home, and the shit's about ready to hit the fan here. We're in the last part, last quarter of the movie. So she's saying, "Don't lie to me, Jerry. I called your office." And he's like, "I didn't get a message." And she's like, "Well, of course you didn't get a message. They said that you don't work there anymore." And of course, he tries to act like the secretary is an idiot. So this is where he messes up. or just doesn't give a shit. So this is the scene where he says, wait a minute, who am I here? Because he slipped up. Um, he should have said Blake, and he said, Hodgkins, what's to get wrong? And bam, across the face with the phone. And then it's like, are you all right, sweetheart? This is very sadistic, too. She knows she's in deep shit right now. Hey, Tom. That's okay. We do have a little bit more time left in this movie. I'm an hour, 15 minutes, 29 seconds in, Tom. So this part here with the dog always made me nervous. I didn't know if they would go there, but I was afraid that they would. But thankfully, I'll just go on and tell you, no harm comes to the doggy. But on first watch, this is a very tense scene. There's damn Jim Mogilby um, rushing to get to Jerry's house. And Stephanie's back home unknowingly. I guess she just thinks her mother has stepped out to run errands or something. She has no idea that Jerry's sitting there in the kitchen with a knife. This again is where I say that some people might think Terry O'Quinn's chewing the scenery a little bit, but I don't think it's quite that bad. I think he does a great job in this movie. So those of you wanting to see Naked Jill showing, you're going to get to see it here, okay? I mean, you can't linger on her, you can't, ogle her body, but you do get to see a little bit. So there you got a good shot of the breast, or a pretty decent shot. So Jerry was just about to head upstairs to dispatch Stephanie, and somebody's at the door. And we can see that's good old Jim Mogilby there. Oh man. So this is kind of funny though. He's like Jim Ogilvy, like it's just normal. And then Jim says, "Oh, you got blood on your face." And like, man, I would have had that gun out already. This is another spot where Jim is stupid and it means the death of him because he didn't have the gun out, didn't have it ready. He knew there was a chance that he could come in there and Jerry would be home. He had to have, but too late now. Yeah, TJ, exactly. You said, told you. LOL. So Stephanie's not in the bathroom. Where is she? Ah, there she is. This whole few scenes here is going to be very tense. This is These are the money shots to me, because it's so tense. Her trying to escape, him trying to bust in the bathroom door. This is the kind of stuff I think we as like horror and suspense fans live for. So she's thinking in the few seconds that she's got before he busts that door in. Good job, 70. She's got a big shard of glass. That's a great shot, too. And then she stabs him in the upper arm. Of course, that's a little stupid. She should have taken that moment to stab him in the chest and not the arm. The arm's not fatal, of course. But I guess they wanted to pad out this running time a little bit. We've got about 8, almost 9 minutes left of the film. Yeah, exactly, Tom. That is exactly right. You say a bit of a nod to The Shining with the bathroom scene. Yeah, definitely. I was kind of waiting for somebody to say something about that. Oh, man. Those attic floors are never really that sturdy, are they? So, but we all in here have seen enough horror movies to know that if she comes out of that damn attic, um, yeah, Jerry's not going to be dead. That's right, TJ. Come to daddy, Uncle Frank. LOL. And there's her mother. This is still tense because we all knew that Jerry wasn't dead yet. Okay. So Susan found the gun. She shot him, but he's still going. He's like the damn Energizer Bunny here. So she shot him in the leg there, and he's still going. So very tense scene where we're not sure at this point who's going to get the knife first. Is it going to be Stephanie or is it going to be Jerry? And meanwhile, the gun is jammed or out of bullets or something for Susan, and she's unable to shoot him. And we have this very tense scene here where we're going to see the knife raised. And I can clearly tell that's Stephanie's hand. But we see that quick shot of Susan where she's like, stop it. And now she stabbed him in the chest. So we assume, if this had been your first watch back in 87, um, a lot of stuff we wait for there to be sequels. However, I don't think that at this point in time, this sets us up for a sequel because he clearly looks dead. There's no scene where he opens his eyes up or it zooms in on his face or anything. Um, merely this scene here where she's sitting on the steps, where Stephanie's sitting on the steps, will fade into another scene. And here's the scene where I'm talking about. I kind of understand why what happens, and then on the other hand, I'm a little bit perplexed about it. Okay, so yeah, Jerry built that birdhouse. Yeah, that was going to be a reminder of him every time they looked at it. However, why in the hell is she cutting it down? Because couldn't there be some baby birds in there? That was the thing. And you're probably thinking, geez, Louise, Dana, why would you think of that in a horror film? But I just did. I always do think about that. Um, why couldn't they have just repainted it or something to make it not look so much like what Jerry created? Looks a little bit like the Nightmare on Elm Street house. That birdhouse does. Yeah, TJ, I get it. It's symbolism, pure and simple, but I just can't help thinking, what if there were some baby birds in there? So we have officially reached the end of the Stepfather. I'm probably not going to stay. I'll probably try to stay on here till like 9:30. For those of you that want to stay on a few minutes and ask me anything that you want to ask, or um, suggest anything for future watch alongs, future streams, all of that. Here's chance. Tommy say if they cut down the birdhouse because it was a reminder, then I guess burning down the house would be next. Exactly. We could get too crazy with the whole reminder thing, couldn't we? But I do hope you guys enjoyed this. This is definitely. I don't think I've done any watch alongs for any of the stepfathers. It might be fun to do one for part 3 at some point just because that one is so out there. And Terry O'Quinn does not play the stepfather in part 3. The guy that played the replacement, John Boy on the Waltons, when he comes back from the war and he is having memory issues, that was a different actor. And that is who plays the stepfather on part 3. So we have a Pat Benatar song, Run Between the Raindrops. I don't know that I've ever heard that anywhere outside of this movie. We got Sleeping Beauty by the Divinals. Uh, I Want You, let's see. It's basically the 3, I guess, big songs in the movie. Um, so I guess one of my questions is there anybody in here tonight that has not seen this movie before? If so, I just was kind of curious at your thoughts. Did you like it? Any of that? And it does say the characters and events depicted in this production are fictitious. Any similarity to actual persons living or dead is purely coincidental, and I get that. But still, this is clearly loosely based on John West. Texas, you say the funny thing when she played that song, there was a U2 tape right by her. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there is like a making of. the Stepfather, and I could be wrong, but I don't think Terry O'Quinn is on this. There's a lot of other people that are on it. So if you do have or are thinking about getting the Blu-ray of this, it does have audio commentary with director Joseph Rubin. It has the Stepfather Chronicles, all new interviews with cast and crew. There's trailers for all three films and a still gallery. I'm sorry, I was just going and taking this disc out so I don't forget. But guys, it is now officially 9:30, and I hate to go so early, but I was up way past my Betty by time last night. I mean, it was completely fun. I had Chris C on, Darren was on, TJ was on. All those guys were on with me for Cannibal Ferox and Cannibal Holocaust, the last drive-in movie night for a while. So I'm going to have to try to get some rest. I had a big day today going to visit my dad and everything. But I do want to thank all of you guys that were in here. I hope you enjoyed the movie. And I hope some of you can join me tomorrow night. Probably, I may start a little bit earlier. I may go ahead and start at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't hold me to that, but I'm going to try to go that route. And join me for High Fidelity starring John Cusack tomorrow night. TJ said, Quinn has said he knows they're fans of the movie, but he thinks it was just a goofy little project they worked on. And that sounds familiar, and maybe I read that in an interview or something like that. But I would love to hear a commentary with, maybe with the director and O'Quinn. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it would be cool. Thank you, Texas. Texas says tomorrow's movie is on Hulu for anyone who has that. Of course, I'm going to be using my Blu-ray, but I realize that not everybody will have a Blu-ray for this movie or even a DVD for this movie. And there may be a lot of you that have never even heard of High Fidelity, but it does have a connection to Evil Dead 2, and I'm not going to give it away, but you guys and gals that have seen it already, you know what I'm talking about. Tommy say, I saw a YouTube clip with him where he mentioned he felt typecast as the untrustworthy character after Stepfather. And I totally get that. I just wish that he would be on something, because even if he thought it was a goofy little movie and didn't think too much about it later, I would still love to at least hear him on a commentary or maybe a short interview with him. Just, to satisfy my curiosity a little bit. However, on that note, I think I'm going to have to get out of here for the night. But again, I want to thank each and every one of you guys that was in here tonight in the chat, keeping the chat going. It sounds like several of you enjoyed watching this, especially TJ. I know he was commenting a lot as the movie went along. I know too, sometimes people get caught up in the movie, even if it's a watch along. And sometimes I do it too, and I just forget to say anything for a little bit. And then I realize, oh, dang, you're doing a watch along. You should be, talking this movie up a little bit. So good night, TJ. And on that note, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side, albeit tomorrow night, probably at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with High Fidelity. Have a great night, everybody.